So please tell me you guys have seen The Ladies' Man. You know what I'm talking about with Tim Meadows, the old Saturday Night Live movie?
Nope.
I don't think I have.
No? Oh,
It
man.
came out, how many, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Oh, it's probably been longer than that.
I might have seen it on but I mean, I don't remember shit from it, so.
Well, it was the one where he was, like, sleeping with all these people's wives and stuff. And, like, he was a radio host, like a radio talk show host.
Where's this going?
Well, his name was Leon Phelps, and I think I met Leon Phelps the other day. I think. Okay?
Nice.
So, I pull up to this box, and I'm looking, and there's water bubbling up in these people's front yard, right? I'm looking, there's a water leak under their front yard, and I'm telling you, it's so bad, like, the sod has separated from the ground, and I tried to walk up to their front door, and it was like walking on an inflatable bouncy house. It was awful, all that water, and it's running back toward their house. So I'm, like, canvassing the neighborhood, and either all the neighbors are, like, shutting their doors in my face, or they're not home, or they don't know how to contact these people, or whatever. So I decided to call the water company, right? And after being treated like a criminal by the woman on the other end, she's like, do you want to report a water emergency? I'm like, well, I don't know. I was hoping you could maybe tell me if I wanted to or not, you know? And she says, well, you need to make that decision. And I said, well, okay, I guess so. And she's like, okay, well, you're this, and I need a contact number for you and your name. Like, she was going to try to come back on me, right? Like, if this tip didn't pan out,
right?
You know? So I go through all that. I feel like a criminal. So I decide to swing back around later on in the day, and I look, and there's a guy there. Looks like he kind of has it under control. So I pull up to him, and the guy's standing outside of the water truck, and he has, like, a huge afro and, like, little glasses and, like, a racing stripe goatee. And I pull up to him, and I'm like, hey, man, I called this in, and you got it all under control? He's like, yeah, I cannot do this by myself. Right? And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to help you, you know? And he said, yeah, I called everybody, but everyone seems to be busy.
Nice. And I got to tell you, Steve, that's pretty good
What?
impression.
I mean, I heard it firsthand. Like, and so this guy's like talking all this stuff, and he's like, I don't know, this person's busy and this person can't do this. And so I called my supervisor and I told her, you need to get your fine looking ass over here and help me dig this up. And she told me she cannot do that kind of work, and I need to call Joe across town. And I told her, well, I still want you to know that you still have a fine looking ass. I was finished right there, you know? Because then he says, because we play around a lot. I'm like, well, no kidding.
Draw your sword, knock your arrows, and ready your spellbook. It's time for another episode of The Gamesmen. What role will you play?
Greetings, guys, gals, and guildies. Welcome to episode 76 of The Gamesmen. This is the show for the week of June 11th, 2012. I am Steve Conger, also known as JSS Lyfeliek, on basically every gaming service imaginable, and opinions are like assholes. And boy, do I have a few pretty big opinions with me here this evening. Some of the biggest opinions on VGHub.net, some might say. The first, old dependable, Mr. Daniel Knappman, Hardlydan.
Hey man, how you doing?
Alright, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good. Just not sure if I should be complimented or offended, but
what's going on?
oh, not much, you know, playing some games, as usual. Trying out a few new betas that I'm not allowed to talk about, unfortunately. And, Race 07, that game you gave me. I finally got into it. I've broken it, and it's good. I love that game now. It's awesome. But yeah, nothing much else has been happening. Just gaming and gaming.
At least you're using it. That's good.
Yeah, no, great game.
And watching a bunch of internet video, huh?
Yeah, fair bit. Fair bit of E3.
And in the guest seat for episode 76, Greg DeLacy, Mr. Murphy's Law.
Well, hello there. I am an asshole, apparently. All right, I'll drop the French accent because I can't pull it off. Hi. What's going on, guys? I heard there's something going on this week. Some kind of big entertainment thingy-mabobber about games and stuff.
Yeah, cliched. Kind of a big deal.
Kind of, or letdown. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's the truth.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing. Well, I don't even want to waste any time. I want to get right into it. The week of E3 2012 in Los Angeles was kicked off with the Microsoft press conference. At this point, when this thing kicked off, Greg, you and I had talked, my Christmas morning sort of sense was like off the charts, man. I couldn't wait.
Yeah, I think you and I both had somehow fooled ourselves into grandiose expectations across the board. I think. And it didn't help that, of course, the internets were running wild with, E3 rumors and leaks or supposed leaks leading up the week before. So, I mean, clearly, I think the table was set, unfortunately, probably by our own peers to be let down.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in reality, maybe if we didn't have all those rumors and leaks leading up to this, maybe we would have really enjoyed these shows.
Yeah, I remember, what was it? Maybe Wednesday of last week. I said, you know what, Greg? Really not excited about this show. Then as the days went on, all these little things, Sony streaming gaming deals and all kind of stuff just started popping up, and I was like, and I should have never done it. I should have known better.
Yeah.
Should have known better.
Agreed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2012 Xbox Global Media Briefing.
So, Halo 4. Microsoft blows everybody out of the water and leads off with Halo 4 instead of, and we'll get to this in a little bit, what they finished up with. So they had two pretty nice bookends to their press conference, and the first thing was Halo 4. And let me ask you this. What was the deal with the live action stuff?
Well, I mean, I know Microsoft traditionally has been pretty consistent with the Halo campaigns and doing kind of live action trailers and commercials where they combine in live action with the CG stuff. So I wasn't overly shocked to see that live action moment where they were talking to the troops and It's not part of Halo 4, the game. I'm sure that will be part of a future commercial we will see come out for Halo 4.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it sets the stage nicely. I was thoroughly impressed with Halo 4.
Thought it looked pretty good. It definitely, Dan, it looks different.
Yeah, and it looked different enough to actually kind of pique my interest a little bit.
Yeah.
I might be picking this version of Halo up. It's the latest iteration. It looks really quite nice, doesn't it?
Well, I had heard somewhere that somebody had likened it more to like a Metroid Prime now, which is interesting.
Yeah, I know some people were, claiming a little more Metroid Prime-ish look to it, based, I think, on some of the color schemes they went with for some of the alien creatures and also like the visor controls, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To me, it still absolutely looked Halo, just a much more polished version than we've seen in the past.
Now, what was it? Forebearers? Is that what they said that the enemies were?
Yeah.
Well, the four bears, four runners.
Forerunners,
okay.
yeah.
Something like that. I really liked the way that those guns sort of pieced themselves together. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
really cool.
The enemies definitely displayed some new tactics that you hadn't seen before. Looks like at least the Forerunner, I want to say they called it a Forerunner warrior, but he had some kind of like sentry that was floating with him that seemed to be kind of his shield, and actually caught a grenade midair, threw it back at Master Chief, so... looks like it's going to be a good challenge.
I'm thinking shoot that first.
Yeah.
Like the guy in the video.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot the shield first.
Yeah.
So, agreed, Halo 4 looks pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah, I might have to purchase that.
You know, it sort of seems like maybe it's the shot in the arm in the series that maybe may possibly intrigue even me. I've never been a huge Halo fan. I bought Reach, but like watching this Halo 4 demo, it kind of made me think that Reach maybe felt kind of dead a little bit. Just kind of lifeless, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was just getting to the point where it's time to reinvigorate it and to inject something new into the bloodstream of Halo.
I know a lot of people were concerned about 343 Studios taking up the Halo franchise, but like you're saying, I think it was the right move for the franchise. I think that Bungie had grown tired with Halo and just weren't being creative enough. And while certainly 343 they're saddled a little bit with having to stick with certain things that Bungie put in place, the things that they're keeping in place were things that worked really well. So it's good that they're keeping them in place. But you definitely see 343 has put their stamp onto the game and are kind of making it their own Halo. So
yeah,
I'm very excited for it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens to Cortana, because she's gone a bit nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Looked a little angry. I'm also especially excited for the Spec Ops. They call them Spartan Ops, not Spec Ops. Spartan Ops. And I know everybody's like, oh, well, it's like Spec Ops, but from what I understand, they're going to be releasing, in a sense, kind of like DLC mission packs that will be part of Spartan Ops, where you'll play these off-world missions almost like episodes over the course of the months after the release of Halo 4. So it'll be additional content that comes your way. And from what I understand, I don't think it's going to be paid for content. I think it's just going to be content that you'll get served up through the multiplayer side of it.
It'd be pretty nice if there's a playlist or something like that, and they can, add new things and rotate things server side. Yep. Cool. Well, after that, obviously after the huge bombastic opening, and if you go back and listen to every one of our post E3 shows that we do, you know that one of my biggest pet peeves with Microsoft is it rubs me the wrong way every year when that goddamn Don Matrick, Alice the Goon looking motherfucker comes out and starts talking. I can't stand him.
I can feel the hate.
I cannot stand him. He drives me up a wall. Anyway, I don't even want to linger on that too much. But the first thing after that was something, I don't know, I guess you could kind of call it unexpected. It was unexpected for me. Splinter Cell Blacklist. Yeah,
it was a pleasant little surprise. I wasn't expecting it at the conference, but certainly was happy to see it. Although I will say this, when it first started to play, and the trailer or sequence opened up with you see somebody dressed up like either an Afghan or Middle Eastern soldier, if you will.
Yeah, like a Taliban.
Yeah, carrying. I believe he was carrying a body on his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that didn't look terribly good to me. When I first saw that, I was like, "Cool, that's kind of ugly." But then once the body got put down and we were a little farther back from the character model, the entire game started to look 1,000 times better. And once it went into full action, I was just sucked in right away.
Yeah.
And Sam Fisher seems back with a really good new stylized action to him.
And back with a Nathan Drake attitude, kind of.
Nathan Drake attitude and Assassin's Creed mobility.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man. Like it's totally different, and I did realize that no Michael Ironside's voice gone.
Yeah, no, yeah, he apparently once they decided to go back to the high tech gadgetry and kind of left the direction of Conviction, Ironside said so long.
Yeah.
So this is a new voice, clearly a younger looking Sam Fisher also. So I'm wondering if this isn't going to be maybe a reboot of the franchise.
Could be, yeah.
That or it's Sam Fisher's son. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Well, because it is also 4th echelon now, because 3rd echelon no longer exists.
Yeah.
Which I had to laugh. I'm like, really? You couldn't think of just a whole new name? 3rd echelon's gone.
Yeah, just
call it 4th.
Curse it right off the bat. Yeah. Dan, FIFA.
Yeah, didn't really pay much attention. Not a fan of the games.
I know.
FIFA. It's more FIFA by the look of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. How can you not like FIFA? That's like part of your like history and heritage. I mean,
I find it one of the most incredibly dull sports that's ever been invented.
Are we going to be able to publish
cricket.
this podcast? I mean, if
Yeah,
we do,
yeah.
You're going to be shipped off seas.
No, they'll just think I'm gay. No, unfortunately, the sports I like are never really kind of well served by video games.
Yeah.
So I kind of stick away from not just FIFA, things like Madden as well. They just don't float my boat. Didn't pay any attention to either of them. So.
Well, I mean, I guess the big thing to take away from FIFA 13 and Madden 13 was the Kinect voice functionality.
Yeah, being able to substitute on the fly with just talking, that I guess would be good for people that play FIFA. I have no experience with the games.
Yeah.
Don't intend to. I don't know.
I think the Kinect talking stuff, if I mean, for me personally, in a sports franchise, that could be really useful because I'm never really one to switch lines out or rotate players in when I'm playing these games, typically because, especially like with the NHL, it seems like it's disruptive to the play, and for whatever reason, my brain doesn't think to push the right buttons to switch out the lines. I just kind of roll with the players. However, being able to call it out with my voice and just say, line 1, line 2, rolling in my lines playing hockey, that could be phenomenally fun.
Yeah, it'll make it feel more realistic and fluid.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly from the football point of view, I got to say, when Joe Montana went up there and started calling out plays, you may not like Joe Montana. I hear you, Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
No, that's not it.
I was quite impressed with how quickly he was calling out plays and the degree of depth that he was putting into what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it was picking up and picking out the plays.
Well, I'll say two things.
Assuming it wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
True. Fair enough.
I'll say two things of that. Number one, I think that could be a nice added feature because I think with games like FIFA and Madden, there is already a learned language that you need to have with those games, as far as control schemes and things like that. Number two, Joe Montana is from like one town over. He was born like one town over from here. And the son of a bitch never comes back here unless they're paying him or they're naming something after him. Smug bastard.
Do you blame him?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a piece of shit, but never forget where you come from.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's a jerk. They were naming two, not just one bridge, 2 bridges after him, and the son of a bitch couldn't even come back. All right, anyway. So, after that, we had a little montage of Fable the Journey, Gears of War Judgment, and Forza Horizon.
It's completely... I've lost interest in the next Fable now. I really have. It's just not pushing the buttons for me.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Fable anymore, does it? I know it's kind of a step away, but it's just perhaps one of the reasons why Molyneux left Lionhead.
Yeah, maybe.
I know he's deeply involved in it, and perhaps they decided that actually this game's a bit crap, let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
There's something to that, Dan. I kind of think it might have been some of the latter rather than, the former. Because, I mean, I heard him on Spike do an interview. They actually brought him on stage. He was talking to – he was one of the guest panels with the Spike coverage.
I saw that.
Yeah, he interviewed the guy that did it. And you could see the passion and love he still has for Fable.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's his baby, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been the biggest franchise he's been involved with for quite some time, really.
True. And I'm just kind of inclined to think that maybe, creatively speaking, he just wasn't doing enough for them, in terms of what they were looking to do with the studios. So I'm really hoping, and granted, we didn't see it this show, but I'm hoping maybe, next year we're going to see that the Lionhead Studios and Rare and everybody that was kind of underneath him really flourish and blossom back into some greatness, because I think they have definitely been stifled.
I know if I don't say this, someone's going to comment and I'm going to get bit in the arse. I know they didn't make him leave. He left. It was his decision. So I'm not suggesting that they pushed him out the door. Well, before anyone complains.
Yeah. See, to me, when I saw these three, this sort of set the stage for what I think my overarching theme of this E3 was. To me, it was, let me show you something really cool. But
we've done it before.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, here's another Fable game.
Yeah.
But it's not like you remember. Here's Gears of War Judgment. But it's made by People Can Fly. And here's Forza Horizon. But it's not the Forza you're used to.
For you.
Now, wait, I'm gonna take you guys to task a little bit. And I'm not really gonna take you to task. I shouldn't say it that way. I fully agree about Gears. Gears really feels like this is a filler title, which I really hope it's not, but it feels like it. And Fable the Journey, we kind of know it started going down this crazy path, so that's where that's at. But Forza Horizon, I've seen the gameplay. I've seen them actually demo it out. This game, honestly, I think should have been named something different, because it really isn't a Forza game. You could say this is more of a successor to Burnout than it is to Forza. It is an absolute open world, drive anywhere, crazy fun racing title that I think the only reason why it has Forza attached to it is because they use some of the Forza tech in it for the cars, and they wanted to make sure that the title, had a little bit of stage presence, if you will. So they thought, well, if we don't call it Forza, people won't necessarily give it the brand recognition. So by calling it Forza, it makes it more credible.
Well,
I think
that's
it was
exactly what
personally
Criterion did with Paradise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
And let's face it, you're looking at probably like an alternate universe now. Like, you're going to have Forza proper, and then you're going to have Forza Horizon 2 and Forza Horizon 3. You know what I mean? Subtitle, whatever.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could have easily been Project Gotham Horizon.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for that title. The more I've seen of it, the more excited I get about it.
So then we find out that there is now going to be better Bing searching on your Xbox, plus new language support.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Nuts and bolts stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to open up the market to more people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it ends up being more money for Microsoft and hopefully better games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm. We're continuing the sort of trudging through molasses waist deep part of the press conference. Nickelodeon app, Paramount Movies, Machinima, Univision, NBA, NHL, and a 24-hour ESPN service now, which is probably not going to be live broadcast ESPN, but I think they said it would be a combination of all of their ESPN networks, sort of.
Right.
Yeah, and they also didn't mention regionality. I can't imagine that we'll be getting that over here in Europe anytime soon.
No, probably not.
Maybe Machinima.
Which is good. I mean, that'd be great.
That was the one thing that my ears pricked up on. I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
Well, you know what? I can't believe that there's still not like a Revision 3 TV app and stuff like that. Like, how has this stuff not happened? How are we just now getting machinima when it's geared toward us?
I have no idea. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's a gaming channel on the Xbox, the Zune Marketplace or whatever they call it now.
Yeah. So after that, 2 words were etched into the coffin of the Zune Marketplace, and those 2 words were Xbox Music.
It's a sad day for my Zune player.
Is this even relevant now with Spotify, with Last.fm, iTunes?
Tune in radio on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, they have Last.fm as a partner.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily relevant to us as gamers. I think really more than anything, this is just as relevant as some other renaming announcements that were made later on, which is this was more just letting the buyers of the world, the business people of the world that were attending E3 know we're shifting our brands around and unifying them. And I think more than anything, this really signals the unification of Xbox now is the brand name of Microsoft's entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's entertainment, it's Xbox.
Yeah.
And I think it's a smart move.
To highlight some potential new customers how versatile the 360 is for an entertainment system rather than just for playing games.
After that was a part of the show, to me, that one of the 2 parties involved in bringing this to the Xbox seemed to be making out a hell of a lot better than the other. Okay, even before we go there, I don't want you to think that I'm a cynical bastard. I mean, I kind of am. But going through the notes on these press conferences, if you've listened to the show, I'm playing Zynga's advocate. Okay? So that's kind of how we're doing it. I am Zynga's advocate, and I am being cynical about everything and sort of forcing you guys into a role where you defend this stuff if you feel so moved. But Nike plus Kinect training, it just seems like Nike just swooped in and said, man, we can probably take these guys for some cash here.
Oh, you can get Athlete Fit with that.
Yeah, well, supposedly. I mean, do you believe that?
If you ever bloody use it.
Do you believe that you can get Athlete Fit in your house with no weight equipment or anything like that?
Oh, maybe my right arm.
Yeah, but your right forearm's already in shape, probably.
Horrible.
Bring in the class, baby. Bring in the class.
I want to see Nike do something, or Nike even do something for us surfers, so we can track how well we're surfing. I know it's going to be terrible because electronics and water, especially salt water, really don't mix.
Oh God, you need to get a fake board with like ball-bearing wheels in it on a treadmill.
No, but I'm just thinking maybe something I can clip onto my wetsuit and it can register what I'm doing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think didn't they just launch that little Nike wristband thing?
Yeah,
it's like a rubberized
it's not
band
be any good for surfing.
Well, it was rubber. there's that. Yeah, I mean this definitely feels more like an advertising partnership than anything else. A way for both of them to brand themselves, kind of across the board.
Well, and I think maybe it's paving a way for things in the future.
Yeah,
like
without a doubt.
The Kinect Tech, not so much as an Xbox feature, but for technology down the road. But so this is where things pick up. And this is probably one of the most interesting, if not the most interesting parts of the press conference. Xbox Smart Glass. So apparently you will be able to control or interact with your Xbox and your TV through devices that you already own, such as iPod, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Windows 8, Windows Phone, all that stuff. So basically, Microsoft has turned devices that you have into a handheld that interacts with your console.
Yeah, I can't wait. I already have a similar thing set up on my computer with XBMC, just for like the remote app, and I can scroll through my library and stuff. Having that on my console, being able to look at the map and select waypoints or equip items, that's a no-brainer. That's brilliant.
I think this is probably one of the more interesting announcements from the show, possibly the most important announcement in the show that was completely overlooked by many, many people, at least for the initial reaction. And then it seems as days have gone on and as people have talked about it and thought it through, it seems to be coming full circle now, and people are understanding how this potentially could be just a stroke of genius on Microsoft's part. I think the reality is it really depends on how well it's implemented, how well does it work. But if it works as advertised, they have, come this Christmas, because they're saying it's going to be delivered by Christmas time, they will instantly be giving every Xbox user that has either a smartphone or a tablet an additional device to use for free, basically.
So that's kind of where my devil's advocate comes in. It's going to get kind of expensive if you don't have that.
Well,
you don't have to use it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you don't have to use it. It didn't look like any of the functionality that they were talking about was required use.
No, but they're going to have to push something, and you're going to want it.
Well, yeah, but
is that any different than any other console manufacturer producing something? They're wanting you to want it, of course.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing about this,
decent cell phone at the moment.
Yeah.
Steve, what phone have you got?
I have a Droid Razr Max now. I can totally use it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I can, but the thing is, I bet there are a lot of people out there that play Xbox that still have no tablet and probably have a flip phone.
And that's possible. And the beauty of this, and what I liked about this announcement, and why to me it didn't feel like the corporate greed play, which we've seen many, many times. And in fact, we saw it in another conference that we'll get to shortly. But was that this is not limited to Microsoft devices. They're telling the world, hey, if you have an Apple, iPhone, iPad, fine, you'll be able to use it. You have an Android, fine, you can use it. So they're not. Yeah, they're just not requiring anybody to go out and buy their product. It's an app that's going to be downloadable once this new and I'm assuming it's coming with the dashboard update. Yeah.
The interesting thing is Graham Boyd, AC Bongos is also known as. He's the social marketing manager and Xbox EMA, EA even. He's kind of like the European Major Nelson, only not as glamorous. He was talking about it several months ago on Twitter, this very thing. Mm-hmm. And we were like, yeah, this would be awesome. And I don't know if he was kind of taking feedback from his followers, but everyone was incredibly positive about it. It was whilst I was playing Skyrim. He was like, wouldn't it be great if you could use your phone just to... I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Where can I do that?
Here's my other concern.
Here it is.
My other concern is this cannot be used for too much gaming that is intensive, because I don't know about you guys, but I would take a 100% chance of pressing a button over a 75% chance of a touchscreen working, as in controls.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think it's generally going to be used for things like waypoints on maps, inventory items, things like that. I think that's where it makes sense, really.
Yeah, and hopefully they will integrate this in a way, or it'll be easy enough for developers to integrate this into a way that it will be optional, certainly not required, that you can use it if you have the device. If not, that secondary functionality is just built into maybe menus or something like that. So your inventory screen can appear up on your tablet. If you don't have a tablet, it's just in a menu item.
Yeah.
I can also see it being used for people who stream media around their home using their 360 and being able to use it to control that.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is going to be media first on Xbox. And
without a doubt.
So, at this point, I'm kind of feeling like, and I still kind of felt like this by the end, but maybe not as bad. But at this point, I kind of felt like Microsoft sold me a false bill of goods. Like, I bought a gaming machine, and somebody snuck in my house and swapped it with a cable, like, IPTV set-top box that looked exactly the same as the thing I bought.
Yeah, kind of. But, you've got far much more functionality. You can't play.
Now, here's my counter to that. You were never sold a false bill of goods. You were sold a game console. It plays games.
Yeah, I know it does.
And you've just been given extras.
Yeah, you've been given a lot more ability with your console. They've grown the console from the day it was launched. And I think that's where a lot of gamers, we hear so many people saying, oh, they don't care about gaming anymore. No, they care about gaming, but they also care about a lot of these other areas. And the console has grown.
Yeah.
They have developed it and pushed it to far more than I think any of us envisioned. And I remember when I got my first 360, I was like, okay, Xbox Live. Yeah, they even back then they talked about at the press conference, they wanted to be a media center, a media hub for the living room.
Yeah.
And those were the words they were using. And at that point, I kind of laughed a little bit, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to play my Halos and my Call of Duties. But the realities are they really have pushed forward and changed the way you look at your Xbox. And some of it to the detriment of a gamer.
Yeah.
I fully agree that, it's not as easy to find your games channel now. But I mean, hey, at least they made the first thing that your cursor goes to is the game in the tray.
See, I don't even think it's that, though. Like, for me, every time, and I don't log on to my Xbox a lot, but when I do, my whole friends list is Last.fm, Netflix, Hulu. Like, nobody's playing games with it anymore.
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes.
I use my PC for everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it seems like the friends list, like if I have 13 or 14 people on, at least half of them are using some video or audio on demand service.
But here's I guess, and this is where I think the beauty of the Xbox is. You see your friends on Netflix or whatever. Maybe I'm on, YouTube watching something. You see me on there on your friends list. If we were going to be getting together to play a game or something like that, now you have the ability just to, within the system, reach out and contact me and say, hey, what are you doing? You're watching a show? You want to play a game, or are you going to continue watching your show?
Well, and except if you have the do not notify during, no notifications during video play on,
This is true.
So,
this is true.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's just Zynga's advocate stuff. But so using Smart Glass as a cursor, Internet Explorer for Xbox, heavily rumored. So my question to you is, what is the over-under on hours that it is going to take for someone to either find a backdoor into your Xbox, or when will the first Xbox get a virus?
Well, I mean...
some people would say it already has since the first dashboard update.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, has there been a virus outbreak on the PlayStation?
No.
Yeah, I mean, and it's had a browser since day one.
Yeah, but it's Internet Explorer, man.
Well, I mean, I don't think it matters as much given the closed system of Xbox Live.
I hope so.
You're not going to be accessing Internet Explorer from outside of Xbox Live.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sign into Xbox Live first and then use Internet Explorer within Xbox Live. So I'm confident that they have the right security doors in place to prevent any kind of virus hack from coming in through there.
Oh, I hope the base code's different. Oh, I hope the base code's different from PCIe. Oh, God.
I'm not entirely sure if I'm ever going to use it myself.
Yeah, I know.
I don't either. It will truly have to be one of those things where it depends on how easy it is to use, how quickly it loads up, how fast it is. Those are all the kind of unknowns at this point.
Yeah. All I have to do is switch a channel on my TV and, my PC's on. Oh, there's Chrome.
I know.
Brilliant.
Well, after that, it looks a ton better, but it is still the sort of torture porn snuff film video game that is Tomb Raider. Reboot. Lara Croft is still screaming and huffing and moaning.
As she should.
I know, but God, I feel like I'm watching a snuff film.
Well, that is personally a thing on your side.
But a really nice looking snuff film. I mean,
no, I loved the Tomb Raider demo. I was very excited by that.
Do you think that's going to wear on you at all?
What?
Her vocal sort of, I don't know.
No, I mean, you know what? I mean, if she's just grunting to grunt, Yeah, okay. If she's God of War, Kratos, yeah, that's going to wear on me completely because let me tell you, Kratos wears on me within 2 minutes of listening to that game.
She is not going to be like taking a shit grunting. It's going to be...
I know.
You know, like it's not going to be that.
But I think for me, with what I've seen at least, it seems contextually right. You know, she's falling to the ground, she's grunting, hurt, she yelps in pain when she got, you know, stabbed through the side. I mean, these all seem like things that are pretty natural, and any of us would probably react in very similar ways.
Guaranteed.
And given the fact that she's supposed to be, what, I think 19 in this trailer, she's fairly young. I can see her having more of that kind of, you know, afraid, you know, kind of timid sound to her. Yeah. And it definitely, from what I understand, they said that you do see her go through a transformation in the game of from being the, you know, kind of more timid, you know, I can't believe this is happening to me kind of person, through like her first kill apparently is very impactful.
Yes.
And then it moves into her being, you know, probably a little more jaded, a little more maybe Nathan Drake-like in how she approaches it, you know, killing people.
Yeah.
But I liked that the cover didn't seem like it was indestructible. You know, it certainly wasn't indestructible. It only lasted for a few seconds. She was constantly moving, acrobatic, and it just looked great.
Yet another game capitalizing on the Uncharted trilogy sort of being over.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I enjoyed the Uncharted games. I wanted to see, you know, other games like it. So bring them on.
Perfect timing. So then we sort of saw some XBLA titles. At least I'm guessing that's what they are, right?
Yeah, I don't know about Ascend.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look at OXM UK's website. They're talking about it possibly being the first free-to-play XBLA game. And if it is, it could be, well, it's going to be worth a look. It's not going to cost anything apart from a bit of bandwidth.
Yeah.
It definitely was God of War-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is from Signal, you know, the ones that made Toy Soldier. So is it going to be RTS-y tower defense type of game? What's it going to be?
I think it's going to be a kind of action RPG myself.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard to tell.
Looking at the trailer, it does look kind of action RPG.
I was going to say the art style had kind of that almost claymation look to it, which I really kind of dug.
Yeah. I will say that there is a hint of Shadow of the Colossus there too, I think.
Yeah.
But that was kind of neat and hard to tell what that's going to be. And even harder to tell what it's going to be is coming from Twisted Pixel, makers of the Gunstringer, is Loco Cycle. What the hell is Loco Cycle?
No clue. I mean, literally... I think you're going to get Twisted Pixel, Twisted Humor mixed into this game. It looked like Knight Rider motorcycle. That was what I took from it.
Is it like the later Transformers versions of RC as a motorcycle?
Maybe.
Is that what it is?
Perhaps a bit of Tron thrown in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tron.
Yeah. When I first heard the trailer, because you don't really see anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but you hear this woman talking. It's a female voice, and I was like, I mean, if you had said, "Let's make $100 bet right now," I would have been like, "Perfect Dark, it's coming back," and I would have thrown cash down.
Yeah.
And I would have been out a lot.
Well, even more vague, Matter, and it is sort of like a Marble Madness. I mean, am I correct in assuming that with marbles that look like the eyeballs from, what was it, Atlas in Portal 2 in the co-op?
Yeah. I must have blinked. I completely missed it.
Yeah, well, it was a short trailer, and it from what I understand, is a Kinect game.
Yes.
And I don't, I thought Marble Madness at first, too. I mean, that's what it reminded me of. So it definitely is a puzzle game of some kind, revolving around some kind of marble-like orb. And I don't know if it has personality or not either. I mean, they really didn't show too much.
All right, Dan, how about thoughts on the next demo, Resident Evil 6?
I really enjoyed watching it. it looked very good. There was a kind of a theme, I thought, to the whole of E3, and that was blood and gore for pretty much all the big presentations.
Yeah, there was a surplus of that.
Yeah, and it kind of fitted in with that.
Stabby, shoot 'em, bow.
Yeah, run. Yeah, loads of bows, actually, this year.
The bow and arrow's back in fashion.
Yeah, I didn't really pay a huge amount of attention to it, I must admit. Probably not the greatest guy to ask.
Yeah. I watched it. I have interest in Resident Evil 6. I didn't think it was the greatest of demos. The last part of it really kind of made me chuckle just at the absurdity, because right at the very end of the demo / trailer, you see I want to say it's Leon, or I forgot the other guy's name, but anyway, one of them comes around the corner, sees this. There's a Harrier jet that I think falls from a building it had crashed into.
Oh, yeah.
And it falls in behind him and sets off this explosion, and he starts running down kind of like a Manhattan Avenue, where it's kind of narrow, closed in, and there's cars all parked along it. And so the explosion goes off and cars go flying up in the air. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then a secondary explosion goes off and more cars go flying up in the air. And the entire time it's like you feel the tension of him trying to run to beat the explosion and not get crushed by a car. And he's running, and another explosion goes off and more cars go flying in the air. I think 4 different secondary explosions go off with this huge fireball behind him the entire time. Cars keep flying up in the air. I don't know what that Harrier had packed in it, but it had to have been like a nuclear bomb or something.
And I've read. No, sorry, go.
I was just going to say, it was just a little bit ridiculously too long. I mean,
yeah.
The first explosion, great, awesome. After that, oh, okay.
From what I've read of people that have played it at the show, they've said that it kind of takes away. They're not really that at all excited about it. It doesn't seem. They expected more from Resident Evil 6 after playing 4 and 5. It just doesn't seem to be delivering, apparently.
No, I kind of thought that it seemed like a pretty nice mix of 4 and 5. I don't know. I mean, I haven't played it, but man, it's Chris and Leon and zombies and Resident Evil, and I mean, I don't know. It's everything is there. The recipe's there for me to enjoy it. It's just a matter of execution, I think. And this is Capcom that we're talking about, so it's hard to tell. I don't know.
Well, I will just say this. Well, Steve Conger, if you want to play Resident Evil 6 early, go out and buy Dragon's Dogma, and you'll get an early code to Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But I just don't want to buy it, and I don't want to become a chill sandwich. No, never mind. All right. So anyway, that was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. So next was Connect Racketeer.
I felt so sorry for that woman presenting it.
She had a pretty nice half sleeve, though.
Yeah, okay.
She got introduced, and everyone was like, "Who the hell are you?"
True, because the guy that normally, the guy that normally demos the game is actually fairly well known. I can't think of the guy's name. Dan Greenwald's coming to my mind, but that's the guy from Turn 10. But I'm actually looking forward to Racketeer. It's like Angry Birds, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly that, and Pain. It reminds me a lot of Pain on the PSN.
See that? Launching stuff into the air, breaking stuff.
Yeah, it seems like mindless fun, you know? And especially when you're drunk. Look at what you did to that. You know, that kind of thing. So, so after that was this was huge, and this might have been like the biggest part of Microsoft's conference for me personally.
Yeah.
You finally get to see some South Park: The Stick of Truth, the RPG.
Yes.
And like the best part of this was the backhanded compliment when Trey Parker and Matt Stone come out. And they're like, well, you know, we can't bring you this, you know, you play it from your phone, on your tablet, on the toilet, while you're sitting in the refrigerator. Yeah.
Doing the laundry.
You know, as that's what they do. And as funny as it was, Microsoft couldn't have been happy about that.
I think Microsoft was completely fine with it because, one, the audience was laughing, and they, by far, out of all the presenters at E3, were the best.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think Microsoft at all was unhappy about that. You know, the shot they took, it wasn't that mean-spirited, and the game looks so good.
I know, it looks really cool. But you know, here's the other backhanded compliment, and I think this was even worse. They said South Park is a crappy looking show, and it takes a lot of work. We had to find the right studio to make it look crappy.
Yeah. And they found.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? So now Obsidian, I mean, after even having a spotty track record as it is, now, okay, yeah, Obsidian is the perfect company to make our game shitty. I don't know. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. But, Greg, wait till you hear this. South Park, The Stick of Truth, guess who one of the main characters is? You! You're the new kid. You're going to be the new kid.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's only going to go one of two ways, isn't it?
It's either going to be fantastic or horrible.
I've got a terrible feeling it's going to be the biggest crock of shite ever.
I hope not.
But I want it to be good. I really do.
I know.
Well, and I don't think it's a full retail title, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be an XBLA title, so that might help keep it from feeling like
Is it going to be? It's not going to be retail?
Rip-off. I don't think it is. I could, again, take it with a grain of salt. I thought this was an XBLA title.
Mm-hmm. Well, that kind of changes the way I think about it. Not in a bad way, but that could be kind of neat, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it might help it because if it's not, I mean, I have a hard time seeing them really fleshing out a true big RPG experience within South Park.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, a 12 to 15 hour RPG-like experience would be a perfect call for this game. And that, to me, definitely feels like arcade title, not retail.
Yes.
But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So kind of winding down the show was Dance Central 3, and right in the middle of the stage is Flusher. I mean, Usher. So
hating on Usher.
God, this was horrendous. Awful. Well, can somebody please stab all these dancing games? And
it could have been worse.
Oh.
It could have been Bieber.
Well, this is true, but I don't even know. That might have been the same. Oh, I don't know. I've just had it with this crap, man. I've had it. Jeez.
While not my type of game, I don't care or mind that they're showing these things off. I mean, we saw other dance games later on being shown off. I mean, there are other gamers out there that are not, that enjoy different games. And so I don't have a problem with them showing stuff to that audience. It's just a part of the show that's not going to be for me.
Well, and I agree with you. But answer me one question. How many years has Kinect been on the market for consumers for Xbox?
I believe 2 now. 2 this November.
How many Dance Centrals are there going to be by this December?
3.
Yeah. 1 at launch, 1 a year later, and 1 another year later. So Dance Central is just another in a long line of titles that has fallen prey to annualization.
Yeah, it's the casual gamer's Call of Duty.
Yeah, and yes. All that could be handled by simple updates and downloadable songs.
DLC.
Yeah. Oh, well. So Microsoft wraps up their presser with what I sort of figured they were going to lead off with, and that's Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
That's all that needs to be said about it, isn't it?
I'm actually, I'm kind of intrigued, and more intrigued about what I've seen since the conference and what I saw at the conference. What I saw at the conference, to me, felt like every other Call of Duty in a lot of ways, just different setting, different guns. But I know that this game supposedly is, going to have moments where you're going to have to choose a path and a direction in the story, and supposedly it's going to affect it.
That's long overdue.
I agree. I think it's long overdue for a lot of games and genres, especially the shooter genre. I think could utilize this a lot more to a better effect and give their single player games a lot more depth. But also the Spec Ops stuff for Call of Duty Black Ops 2, it has this RTS kind of feel to it, where you can go out and be a commander and you're commanding your squads as opposed to just being the only person there shooting. And also it has this concept of you can fail those missions, and depending on how you do, win or fail, lose or fail, it will impact the storyline in some way.
Yes.
And so it's not one of those things where you have to just keep playing it over and over again until you pass. You can fail at it within the game set, and it's not going to stop the campaign.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
It sort of struck me as like midway through the demo that Call of Duty fucked Crysis, and this is this is like the offspring.
interesting way to look at it.
Like, it just gets way crazy in the middle, you know? So is this present day? Is this slight future? What is it?
It's 2045.
Is it?
It's future.
All right. So, I don't know.
I'll probably end up playing it sometime.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. I was always the one to skip the Treyarch ones. I don't know if I'll skip this one or not now that they're sort of, the premiere. I don't know. So, all right, guys. Well, this is what I asked of the listenership, today and a little bit yesterday, to give me on Twitter and to give the show's Twitter account, and had a thread on Gaming for the Elderly and on Google Plus, to give me their letter grades for each of the conferences. So what I decided to do was to assign a number value to A+ through F, with F being 1 and A+ being 13. So then I took all of the votes, put them together, divided them by the number, and we're going to see how close they come to our actual grading of each of these conferences. So, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the time when I was watching it, I was thinking like a C-, but talking over it again has made me kind of think more about the tablet and phone thing. So I'll give him a C+. All
right. Greg.
I think.
Yeah, I it's funny because on the Overseas Connection, I had come in at a B, and I thought, well, maybe I was being a little generous to them and could have put them at a C+. And I think now I'm kind of in the mindset they're coming at a B- for me.
Okay. All right. That's not too bad. For me, I think it was a solid C. It was solid middle of the road. It was paced moderately. It was mediocre. Okay. And they showed some great games. The only problem was that a lot of them were third party, and the other ones were just kind of, like going to the store for Tylenol and coming back with pain reliever. You know what I mean? So for me, it was a dead C. And what do you think the community score was?
I think it's going to be close to what we probably had them pegged at, which is somewhere mid C to C+.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
C-.
Okay. Community's feeling harsh.
Yeah, C-, which I don't know if I can really, I can't blame them. So I think that C- is close, but I think that we can all agree that it's probably somewhere right around a C+. I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a good enough show for what they wanted to accomplish, which is stay the course for another year. They introduced some interesting things. They had a couple great games on display. They did have some exclusives out there. I don't know that we could, at least personally, I wasn't really expecting too much more from Microsoft at this conference. Once we knew they weren't, going to announce new hardware, I think about the only other thing I might have expected to see was a price drop.
Yeah.
But they kind of took care of that beforehand, and in a different way than I would have probably liked to have seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jack Tretton.
All right, boys, whereas Microsoft's conference seemed to be geared more toward the entertainment side of things and balancing that out, Sony went games. And the conference kicked off with, I think, one of my favorite demos. The new Quantic Dream project, Beyond Two Souls. Holy crap, does this thing look good?
It looks fantastic.
Wow.
It does look fantastic.
I don't know if you guys caught the Ubisoft conference, but one of my high points there was what they finished up with, the Watch Dogs, which apparently to me is going to be next gen.
Well, so it's a little construed right now because they have up there listed PC, PS3, and 360. But they've also stated, or at least early on stated, that those were placeholder tags.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of speculation that this might, be just placeholder for next gen right now, and they don't want to give away that it's going to be next gen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to definitely be a wait and see. I mean, I have a hard time believing that game could run on a PS3 or a 360.
Yeah.
Just given the bottlenecks we know we have with the systems.
Exactly. And I think these were the two best looking games at the show. But I think that Beyond Two Souls was sort of pulling a little current gen magic by keeping the environments to a minimum.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Beyond Two Souls, it's David Cage, it's the Heavy Rain maker. Heavy Rain looked just as good, looked fantastic.
You know what? If this game's good, you just came up with the tagline for a review. The Heavy Rainmaker.
The Heavy Rainmaker. There you go.
That's great.
But yeah, I think the biggest question really is, how is this going to look? How is it going to perform gameplay-wise? Is it Heavy Rain again? Are you going to have those awkward control moments, with the characters, or are they going to do something different? And I don't know if they were constrained by tech with Heavy Rain, and that was why they had to go with the control schemes that they did, because they just didn't have enough RAM bandwidth to do other things.
Yeah.
So, I want to see more. I'm excited for this title. The story looks interesting. Certainly it looks and sounds wonderful. But hey, show me it plays better than Heavy Rain.
Yeah. Well, David Cage did go out of his way, Dan, to mention on stage that this is all running in real time on the PlayStation 3, and Uncanny Valley's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have progressed that far in 2 or 3 years.
Uncanny Valley's gone in this game, but I think it still exists in most other games, sadly.
I couldn't believe the face on that sheriff, or whatever the cop guy was. Just the facial animation on him alone. And let me ask you this: is Ellen Page not actually a human being? Is she a synthetic and she's owned by Sony? She's in every goddamn Sony game that's out there.
Yeah, well, if she is a synthetic, then hopefully one day I'll be able to buy one.
God. I couldn't believe when he said, it's going to be played by the fantastic Ellen Page. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I hated Chris Evans in multiple Marvel Universe movies. How is this any different? Oh, I don't know. That kind of drove me up a wall. But yeah, it looks damn good, man.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And I think kind of on the opposite spectrum of looking really good, PlayStation All-Stars.
That was really fun.
It looked fun, but it just doesn't look to have the flair that Smash Brothers has.
No.
I'm not a huge fan of Smash Brothers, but I think maybe it was just a bad stage that they demoed it on. It just looked uninteresting.
Yeah, I can't really comment on this game. It's not my kind of game, so even if it looked fantastic, I still wouldn't find interest in it. So I'm not a Smash Brothers kind of person. Sorry.
No, it looked like something I'd probably pick up for maybe 10 minutes, really enjoy it, put it down, completely forget about it.
Yeah.
Just like I did with there was Small Arms? Was that the kind of 360 kind of version of Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
well, anyway, I did the same with that. So I enjoy them for 10 minutes and then think, nah, there's not enough to these games. There's no story.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, no narrative. No game for me.
Greg!
Yes.
Little Big Planet 2 cross-controller support.
Huh?
Little Big Planet 2.
What year is this?
What? Little Big Planet 2 is going to get a patch to be able to use your Vita as your controller.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. I just, just
No. That was my reaction to it. And I know, again, these are some of the nuts and bolts things. They do need to do this stuff, so I shouldn't dismiss it completely. This just is one of those things where I don't necessarily know. Well, it's important. It's important for them to be getting the word out that they're bringing in cross support into the Vita and giving it that functionality. And quite honestly, this is another swipe at Nintendo with the Wii U. And Sony now, Microsoft earlier did it with, the Glass Tech. And now Sony is reaffirming that, hey, you're going to be able to use your Vita to control stuff on your PS3, just like, somebody else over there that's launching a new console.
I would have thought that we would have seen more than that, though. Wouldn't you have thought that we would have seen more of the connectivity between the controllers and what how you can do this on Vita. And wouldn't we have seen like all the things that we saw in Nintendo's press conference? They would have stolen it first and said, look, you can manage your inventory if you play this using PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, and they mentioned how you'd be able to see things from different views, but never actually showed it, which I thought was a shame. And it seemed like, for me, it wasn't exactly a worthy enough piece to maybe put into their presentation.
Yeah.
The fact that they did put it in and then didn't put enough into that part of it, I just thought kind of let them down a bit.
Yeah.
I think they should have made more of it.
So then Tretton goes on to talk about PlayStation's dedication to indies, and they talk about Journey being the fastest selling PSN title. They talk about Dyad, which is coming, Papo.io, and The Unfinished Swan. So those are coming. And then they sort of pull a Microsoft and, not to that extent, but PlayStation Plus, expansion to PlayStation Plus, and they give all the attendees a free a code for 1 year of the service for free.
That's nice.
They have to get that information out there somewhere. How cool PS Plus can be if you're a heavy digital user.
Yeah, and I love the fact that for the people that weren't from the States, they could go to the booth and get it changed to a code that works in their region as well.
Yes,
that was brilliant.
Here's my counter to that. Isn't that the wrong audience? I mean, don't they probably already have it?
Yeah, probably.
And maybe for free?
Yeah.
I mean, that was good to get your name in the headlines of maybe mainstream newspapers, USA Today, things like that. But that, to me, is sort of like grasping at straws.
Yeah, but then those people that already have it may well give it to a friend or colleague or child for a Christmas present because they're skint.
And the funny thing is, it doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
So that's free. Besides bandwidth. And then sort of from we figured that. More PS1 classics coming to Vita, more video apps coming to Vita. Then, another heavily rumored thing which turned out to be true, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for PlayStation Vita.
The most interesting part about this, not shown at the press conference.
Yeah.
Just a tile.
Did they ever say who was working on it?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
They just flashed up the tile like, oh, hey, this is coming. Next. It's like, really? And you're going to spend 20 odd minutes on the thing down the road that we're going to talk about that was my worst moment of E3? Anyway,
any talk about any interconnectivity between Black Ops 2 and Declassified?
Not that I've heard.
Okay. And this was the point where, in the heat of the moment, I thought, son of a bitch, Sony just sold me a Vita. Okay? Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. An actual Assassin's Creed built from the ground up for PlayStation Vita that transpires in, New Orleans at the same time as Assassin's Creed.
Right.
There is something fucking sexy about a chick with a hidden blade and a tri-corner hat. Son of a bitch. That's what got me. I said, wow, I am all over PlayStation Vita. And as the sort of, I slept on it as the day wore on, I don't know. I'm still kind of there, and I think that we're going to talk about it a little bit. It was Nintendo's show to sell me on hardware, and I don't know that I'm anywhere different than what I was. So, foreshadowing. Right. Then a third-party, obviously, demo of Assassin's Creed 3, which, by the way, looks fantastic.
Yeah. And I tell you what, masts and trees in the woods with branches sticking out makes a hell of a lot more sense than buildings with handy ledges that just happen to be there when you need
I agree wholeheartedly.
Very true. And to, I think, everyone's surprise, a onboard ship sequence, open sea fighting.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
Looked fantastic. Although, and I think, Steve, you and I talked about this, the cannons from your ship far more effective than the cannons from the enemy ship.
Big time. I think they were shooting cotton balls.
Yeah.
You were shooting cannonballs. I mean, it was ridiculous. But the sea, the water.
Yeah, the way that ship pitched and the way you got a real sense of the size of the waves that you're going through as well. That was cool.
As much as, certain people, Rabbit Scotsman, like to sort of call Ubisoft out for the Assassin's Creed storyline. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really wanted, and after Brotherhood and Revelations that should have never been made, but they were just trying to buy time until the 2012 Mayan calendar crap. I wanted an Assassin's Creed in a different era. Like, I wanted, like, an industrial era, like the industrial age.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed or something. And this is close enough to that for me. It's something different. It's not the Middle East anymore. Jesus. You had to get me out of there. But next, I'm not a big Far Cry 3 guy, but Ubisoft explained that they were working on 2 separate parts of Far Cry 3.
Yeah, the 4-player co-op side.
Yeah, kind of neat.
That looked kind of, yeah. That and actually the extra stuff with Assassin's Creed 3. They've got like 4 separate missions that are PS3 exclusive,
yes.
I think.
Yeah.
That's kind of tempting me further and further to getting a PS3. And if that Assassin's Creed 3 bundle's cheap enough, I might pick it up.
Yeah, it's kind of nice looking, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is Far Cry co-op? There's a part of me that thinks it's a WTF.
Not so much a WTF. I honestly, to me, just expected.
Yeah, I guess so.
I honestly, every shooter coming out these days, I assume it's going to have some kind of campaign co-op and multiplayer, and if it doesn't, that's when I'm like, WTF.
It totally seems like not campaign co-op. Like, it totally seems like an objective-based secondary mode.
It might be, because, I mean, if you think about the storyline of Far Cry 3 that we know of, there doesn't seem to be a whole heck of a lot of people hanging out with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you going to pull that one off? So, yeah, I think I'm inclined to believe you're probably right there, Steve.
Yeah. So next is the sort of, huh? What? part of the conference. Wonder Book, which seems to be more of a content delivery platform than anything else. Wonder Book seems to follow, to me, in my mind, the Play, Create, Share sort of platform. With Mod Nation and Little Big Planet and things like that, where all of these things are under this one umbrella called Wonder Book. And I think it was called Diggs Evermore. Was that what it was called? The first one that they showed?
Your guess is good as mine. My eyes literally glazed over at this point.
And I think it was just a logo. But the big one was the J.K. Rowling Book of Spells, which was a hugely botched presentation.
Yeah, that worked really well, didn't it?
Open that goddamn door! Open the door in the book, please!
Kept hearing the voiceover saying, tilt the book, tilt the book.
Please. Oh my God, will somebody shut that thing up? Okay, so here's my thought on this whole thing, and tell me if I'm crazy, because I have been playing a lot of Sorcery lately on the PS3 with PlayStation Move, okay? What's the point of having both of these? Like, what's the point of having Book of Spells with the PlayStation Move, and what is the point of having Sorcery with the PlayStation Move? And if both independently are kind of meh, is this sort of like an Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas when the only thing that they were missing is each other? You know what I mean? That seems to me like maybe Book of Spells should be used, or should have been used, for pacing of Sorcery?
Huh? Yeah, maybe. I can't understand why they're doing this, to be honest.
This, to me, was kind of it was like the Microsoft Connect moment of a few years back. I mean, they even had the kid out there kind of part of the trailer doing the demo of it. It was like, it was a complete casual experience. Outcry, Sony still very interested in trying to capture the casual audience. Regardless of what the hardcore fans want, Sony is kind of putting their eye on the big prize, and they know there's money to be made. And
I sit there and think that, like Finn from Sorcery, like I think, okay, maybe now he has a satchel with this book in it. Okay, and as you're playing, he stops, and Finn is like the bungling, like, sorcerer's apprentice in the beginning of the game. What did he tell me that this fire spell was? And he has to open the book. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like both of those are so synergistic that they should have been lumped together. I don't know. They seem like woefully undercooked on their own, even though I think Sorcery is a damn good game for what it is and for the price, for a $40 price point, you know?
Yeah, that's something I didn't mention about Wonder Book. What's it going to cost?
Yeah.
I can see it being overpriced.
It could be. I mean, if you already have, obviously you'll have to have the PS3i.
Yeah.
And you'll have to buy that book and be like, oh my God, you mean I have to buy an actual book?
Yeah. Well, book with no words in it?
Are you going to buy a book and then have to load something into the book?
Well,
I'm sure that's what it's going to boil down to. So how much does the book cost? How much do each story cost.
I don't know. I mean, from what I'm thinking, the AR nature of the book should probably be the same every time. It should just be the software that you load to utilize it.
Yeah. Right, but you know that software's going to come at a price.
Well, of course. It ain't going to be free, I know that. So, Dan, PlayStation Suite is now being renamed PlayStation Mobile.
It is, isn't it?
You excited?
I would be if I was getting a new phone soon. Interesting. Kind of a possible hint at next-gen streaming, and yeah, it could be cool.
There was a huge little sort of, I don't know, not a dig, but there was a huge hint at the end of that. I remember what the guy's name that was on stage, but when he said, we at PlayStation, we want you to know that we're always thinking about how we're delivering your content to you toward the next gen.
Yeah.
Huge. And right there, I was like, son of a bitch. The streaming deal with Gaikai or with OnLive or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's like, all right, see you later. And he's off stage and he's gone.
Yeah, so nobody, or I guess it did get leaked out right before the show, but because we were on media blackout, Steve, we didn't catch it. But the Gaikai deal was with Samsung.
Aha.
So it was with a company starting with an S that makes TVs, just not Sony.
Aha. Yes.
So they're putting it into all the Samsung TVs. But going back to the PlayStation Suite, what I took this as, very similar to what Microsoft did with Xbox Music. They are the PlayStation Suite. Just, it made no sense calling it PlayStation Suite when it was, designed for mobile telephone.
Yes.
It was designed for your cell phones. So they said, let's be strategic, rename this properly as PlayStation Suite, not PlayStation Suite, PlayStation Mobile.
Yeah.
I didn't take any big hints towards the future with this. I just took it as, we're renaming it. We want you all to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's my next phone will be PlayStation certified.
Well, I think they probably all will, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll just be another sticker on the box. But then, sort of leading up to the end, God of War Ascension. Okay. All right. Here comes the cynicism again. Is it just me? And I know whenever I start a sentence with that, it's never good. Or did this game just look like it's dead inside, like lack of direction?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I don't know if lack of direction, it was just more the same. It was God of War 3. I could close my eyes, it sounds like God of War 3. I could turn the volume down and look at it, it looks like God of War 3. It controls like God of War 3. Nothing about this game did anything different than we've already seen. I know there are people like, oh, but it's got multiplayer.
But I think God of War 3 was inspired, kind of. Like this doesn't even, I
think God of War 3 was inspired to end the trilogy, and it was supposed to be the end, and it was supposed to wrap everything up. Much like, we look at the Gears of War franchise and be like, hey, I thought it was done.
Yeah.
Where's this new game coming from? This feels very much the same thing. It's like we needed something to fill the space for this generation. Let's make another God of War game. We've got all the assets. We can pump it out real fast. Put multiplayer on it. Everybody will love it.
Well, see, it seemed like it was just like more God of War for God of War's sake. Because, at the very end, that elephant-looking enemy that looked kind of stupid anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, as Kratos goes into the grapple kill move, he slices open its forehead and gives it like a frontal lobotomy, exposes its brain, and then does nothing with it. And it's not even the fact that I think he should have. I'm sitting there thinking, really? You could, blood wasn't enough. You had to show gray matter. Really?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I trust Todd Pappy to direct this game. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, it kind of fits in with the trilogy. It's a prequel, isn't it?
Yes.
They have kind of tweaked the gameplay a little bit, from what I heard. So there were moves in the earlier games. You'd pull off this super move, and suddenly you kind of build up to it, and then suddenly, well, everyone's dead. There's no point in me using it anymore. Now you can use that all the time. I think that's mapped to the circle button now.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of looked at that a little bit, made it a bit more kind of, added a bit of common sense to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kratos is looking a bit smaller because he's younger, not quite so cut. But yeah, I need to play the previous 3, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of, you need to play the previous 5.
No, 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So God of War Ascension, I don't know, could still be early. I mean, I hate to be that way when it could be early.
It's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. Just to see
which way it goes.
I agree with that. So, saving the best for last, man. The Last of Us.
Yes.
This game, and obviously, I mean, with the pedigree involved, there is no doubt in my mind that this game is going to be fantastic. What had me from hello actually they had me from the word Pittsburgh. As soon as they said it was like post-apocalyptic Pittsburgh.
Now that pissed me off.
Well, I spent a lot of time down there, you know?
Not the Pittsburgh bit, the post-apocalyptic bit. If it's post-apocalyptic, everyone's gone. It's the apocalypse. It's the end of everything. Well, it can't be post-apocalyptic.
Apparently not everyone. But I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. It looks great. It looks like ammo is at a premium. It looks like it is going to be more survival horror-ish than Uncharted. But then again, we didn't see any of the sort of fungus head enemies at all.
Right. I think they're going for just more of I mean, it seems like they're hitting the strides that the game I Am Alive was trying to hit.
Yes.
And they're doing it right, at least from what we can see. I do have, I'm not even going to say concerns. I just question some of the things of, like, ammo scarcity. I'm hoping it really is scarce. Like, there was a great moment in the game where he had taken somebody out. He grabs his gun and empties out a couple bullets from the gun and puts it in his pocket and drops the gun because he didn't need the gun. He just needed the bullets.
Yeah.
Love that. That kind of attention to details is what Naughty Dog does. What I'm concerned with, though, is that if it's going to be one of those things where you're always kind of finding a gun here or there, it'll have a couple bullets here or there, but there's going to be a lot of guns kind of throughout the environment. Because I know a lot of people, especially overseas, think everybody in the U.S. has a gun. We really don't. They're really not that easy to come by. So I really am hoping this game really is going to be about utilizing the environment more than just finding bullets and trying to survive on a few bullets. But it looks fantastic, and certainly it has that Naughty Dog stamp.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't end up being this holiday's Dead Island, because it could end up that way.
I don't know. I mean, it's pushed. I mean, didn't they confirm that it was next year, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, it was revealed last year in December, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused.
No,
it's late at night.
And that's another one. Man, this game looks great, but it's 2013.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's the mission statement that I took away from E3 this year. But, for me, it was really iconic just to watch the demo open up with completely dilapidated buildings, and at the end, all the way off in the distance, is a yellow bridge, and that is really sort of iconic about Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh is the city of bridges, being on three rivers and all.
Nice.
All right, so let's kind of get into this. Greg, a letter grade.
So for me, Sony gets a B-. I think they were step in toe with Microsoft. I laugh because, I mean, even you let off, Steve, with, Sony went straight to games. If you look at, kind of compare the two press conferences up, when you really look at it on paper, maybe it was the way Sony presented it, I don't know. But they actually didn't present really any more games than Microsoft did.
Yeah.
I think they just spaced them out and paced them out differently. So I think for me, Sony really won me and kept a B- grade with The Last of Us and Beyond, because those two games really did impress me. They looked fantastic, and I think Last of Us clearly one of the front runners for Game of Show, and Beyond I have a little bit of questions just because I didn't care for Heavy Rain the way it played, but there was enough interest and enough intrigue for me with that game and how great it looked that I want to know more. So for me, B- with Sony. I don't think they did everything they should have been doing. Again, price drops nowhere to be seen for the Vita.
Yeah, they're comfortable with that misstep. Price, apparently.
I don't know why, but apparently they are. And the PS3, I thought that we might be seeing a price drop from them. And again, nothing to be said about that. So a grain of salt again, because a lot of the pre-E3 hype, I think, had expectations for me set at a certain level. And all of these companies came up short.
Yeah.
So But I don't want to be overly punishing either. They entertained me. They showed me some good things. And for that, they get a B-.
I think that Sony's conference was all about perception. Like, they were perceived to be all about games, and they may not have done a better job or showed more games, but I think it was all in the perception and how it started off and how they paced it. And I think you're right, 100%. Dan?
Weighing it up, with things like Assassin's Creed, the extra stuff, everything we saw of the games, they all looked fantastic. And that would give me, I'd normally say, go for a B for all of that. But they really dropped that ball with Wonderbook. I don't understand why they're doing it. It's utter crap. And so I think that they get a B-.
I can't believe that we're all in agreement.
They virtually sold me a console watching that.
Hey, can I ask a quick question before we get off of Sony? What happened to 3D? Not one mention.
I have a theory on that.
Of 3D.
I have a theory on that. The PlayStation Vita is floundering, and Sony's kind of painted themselves into a corner. If they push 3D on their console, and people like 3D and adopt 3D, their handheld kind of doesn't have it.
And the 3DS does.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly why.
And then, if you take a look at ticket sales worldwide at the cinema for 3D, they're actually dropping quite considerably. So I think people are starting to step away from it.
Well, we'll see. The telltale sign will be this fall, and we'll see how much 3D support is in a lot of these AAA games, I think.
Yeah.
So mine was pretty much the same as you guys. There's no need to rehash. I was at a B-. I think it was okay. It was slightly above okay. What do you think? What do you think the community said?
I reckon they probably scored Sony quite high. I reckon they're probably at a B.
Greg?
Maybe even a B+.
Greg?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. Probably B+.
C+.
Oh.
Wow.
C+. So
surprise.
Kind of right on par with where we're at, just a little bit lower.
Yeah.
I think that both of these conferences so far, and now we're going to get to the big sort of Christmas morning that we've all been waiting for. But both, okay, maybe just me. Both of these press conferences, if you don't think that this is the year before the year, you're fooling yourself.
Mr. Miyamoto?
Yes.
Okay, the biggest wild card of the conference is Nintendo, and it was kind of a strange push-pull dynamic because it was the sort of company that we knew the most about, but by the same token we knew the least about. And, man, Nintendo pulled out the ace of spades early and just slammed it down with Pikmin 3.
Yeah, looks great. Came right out of the gates. As promised. I think it was Miyamoto that promised Pikmin before.
Oh, long time. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. And, with Pikmin 3 is not really... Pikmin was never my sort of cup of tea. But Pikmin 3, okay. It's a cult favorite. So, perfect. If it gets the Wii U ball rolling, that's fine. So then Reggie comes out and introduces the crowd to the sort of, I guess what we would be led to believe, the final Wii U. And there were three sort of mission statement pillars for what the Wii U will do. Wii U will change your gaming. Wii U will change how you interact with gaming friends. And Wii U will change the way you enjoy your TV. Are these believable?
If everybody buys it. I mean, the last one, potentially. The way I interact with my gaming friends, if you mean they're getting rid of Wii codes, okay. But no, I really don't buy into the first two. The last statement, though, potentially, because the idea of being able to transfer your game into the Wii U pad and allow somebody else to watch your TV and you still playing the game, I think that has a lot of interest.
Yes.
And is certainly something that I know the other two companies took notice of.
Big time.
And part of the reason why they all came out with their, hey, you can do that too, kind of, sort of. So, I mean, part of that mission statement I get, and I buy into. The other parts of it, no, because Nintendo's never done anything to really push how I interact with gaming with my friends. And changing the way I game, me personally, no. Yes, the Wii changed a lot of people's way they game because they introduced the Wiimote, but it was never my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well, now, since the Dreamcast, you will now be able to break the screen on your controller.
Yes.
Oh God, it's a whole nother round of like Wii Remote busted LCD TV YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Probably. So Dan, Reggie oddly directed the audience away from E3.
Yeah.
E3.nintendo.com.
Yeah.
6 million times.
And find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter,
yeah.
find us everywhere else but here.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here, but don't come here. That was a bit odd, wasn't it?
Like, this place is not fun.
Yeah. I wasn't sure, what to make of that. I was just kind of, hey?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's nice that they're sort of giving everyone like a backstage pass, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that is neat. But by the same token, the world is your stage right now, Reggie. Don't tell them to do something else. Tell them to watch you right now,
Yeah.
And, then he goes into asymmetric gameplay, which they're talking about, and they've talked about this for a while, which is one Wii game or Wii U gamepad, playing at the same time with multiple Wii remotes, with people with multiple Wii remotes.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, that dynamic intrigues me. I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they showed that, what was it called? Luigi's Ghost Mansion thing, wasn't it? That was an example of the...
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's...
Yeah.
But the important stuff here was the Wii U will support 2 of the gamepads, which, they had to do that.
Yeah, but they apparently you get a 50% frame rate drop when you're using 2.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Which
they
didn't mention.
Yeah, and they're also, I guess, recommending that or saying that it's not the best experience to have 2.
Yeah.
I guess that was being said at the booth itself. So
yeah, and the battery life, I think something like 5 to 7 hours, which isn't great.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. You probably
you can always plug it in,
better out of your PS3 controller or whatever. But so then they had the gamepad video walkthrough, and video walkthroughs and montages in Nintendo's conference. There is no doubt in my mind that Nintendo was sort of once bitten, twice shy, and they did not want to have the Zelda Skyward Sword debacle to happen again.
Well, and it's just odd because we're talking about a piece of hardware now. We're not talking about walking me through software. We're talking about, this is the hardware.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there would be any chance of screwing up.
There was not one game played in this conference.
It's true.
Not one game physically demoed and played. Not even one game staged to look like it was being played.
I thought the Batman one...
I
thought that might have been. Was it a canned trailer?
Yeah, it was at first. And Sefton Hill was shown on camera on a video talking about it. And then whoever the game director of, what was it? Eidos Montreal or whoever that was in charge of porting the game and adding Wii U functionality came out and talked about it. But it was all on video.
Huh.
Everything. And that was weird. Weird.
That is weird.
And I get it, but that's not what I wanted. So the gamepad video walkthrough, when you look at the thing, there was a couple things that that didn't sit well with me. Stylus. So a stylus in the gamepad tells me that it's a DS.
Yeah.
This console is a giant DS.
Yeah. Well, and there'll be a stand for it.
Oh God, could you imagine?
You need a stand.
God. Oh God!
You laugh, but when they talked about the Wii Fit stuff later on, if you noticed, he put that pad on a stand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was disappointing to see in one respect, Steve, but in another way, it makes a lot of sense because I think that one of the ways they're looking at the Wii Pad functionality is exactly like the way that it functions in the 3DS.
Yeah.
So. They figure if they have a similar experience on the Wii U that they do on the 3DS, you can have it going back and forth.
Yeah.
It can go from one game to the next. Maybe they'll try transferring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if there was any question in your mind, it's a resistive one-touch screen. But what really got me was the headphone jack on the top. So is that just for earbuds or is that for an inline mic too?
It is for earbuds because there is a built-in mic on the unit.
Yeah, but isn't that going to sound like crap?
I'm sure, just like We Speak did.
So anyway, the other thing is the slot on the bottom. What's up with that?
That I missed.
Yeah, it's a little tiny slot on the bottom, and I don't know what that is. I'm not entirely positive. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention it in passing.
Could it be for the battery plug-in, the cable plug-in?
That's on the top.
I did notice.
That's on the top. I think.
Perhaps it's to slot onto the stand so it doesn't fall over.
They have their own music stand. Like,
yeah.
God. I mean, it could be a tripod thing because they're talking about, with certain karaoke games that they're going to have your lyrics on it. But
or perhaps you'll be able to have like a chargeable dock and you'll put it on that and you can play stuff and, I don't know, use it as a bedside clock or something. I don't know.
God. So, Miiverse, more Miiverse discussion.
Yeah.
And this was sort of handled with the pre-E3 Nintendo Direct thing. But with, chatting, typing, and sketching with the stylus, it sort of seems like an advanced, like, Phantasy Star Online system. How you had, like, symbol chat and you had text chat. It's almost like the same thing.
It seems like another way to send friends pictures of penises.
And there's going to be so many peepees, it ain't even going to be funny. Jeez whiz. So then, it's the whole, you can't launch a Nintendo console without an old friend. And here comes New Super Mario Brothers U.
No, you knew that was coming. Come on.
Yeah, but it's kind of bad.
Nah.
I mean, is everything going to be you, apparently? Yeah?
Is everything going to always be Mario Brothers? Yeah, apparently.
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, you want to talk about a saturated name brand, but it still sells, so they still pump them out. I didn't really have a problem with Super Mario Brothers U. I mean,
no, it looks like a lot of fun.
fully expected it. I fully expected it. The title looked good, so yeah.
Yeah. There's a neat, social in-game component that people can post, questions for facts, frequently asked questions and things like that. Also, man, the overworld looks a lot like Super Mario Land. Really happy about that. So then was Batman Arkham City Armored Edition. And, okay, it's Batman Arkham City. It's inventory on your Wii gamepad.
Yeah. More importantly, it's a game I played last year.
And that's the big thing. But, okay, what say you if it comes out at $40? I mean, that they could sell a lot of those at $40.
That's if I buy the console.
That's if you buy the console. So,
and how much is the console?
We don't know. We don't know. I don't know. So, but it looks kind of cool. You can control the Batarang, the remote Batarang, and also use your detective vision through the Wii U gamepad. Next, Scribblenauts Unlimited, which is not really Scribblenauts.
Squirrel Nuts.
Squirrel Nuts. Yeah, Squirrel Nuts Unlimited. Looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice title.
It'll be neat. If nothing else, I think it was a sore reminder that, what are you doing, Nintendo? Where the hell is Mario Paint? Where is it? Perfect for that. So then we get another little montage. We need a montage. Darksiders 2 and the bombshell of Mass Effect 3 at launch.
I think I've played that.
Crickets? Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone? Okay. Then Tank, which looks to be probably like a
tank game?
Sort of, downloadable tank game, shooting, taking on Godzilla. Gotta look like. Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Trine 2 Director's Cut, which looks as good as it ever did, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Solid title, but it's, been out.
Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. Anybody? Aliens, Colonial Marines.
I do care about this game, but I again, need to know that I really care about it on the Wii U.
Again, if I do play it, it won't be on that.
Are you positive?
Yeah, because I probably won't be getting a Wii U.
See, probably. Look, listen to your words. There's a slim chance.
Okay. Yeah, there's a slim chance I'm getting a PS3. Money's the issue.
All right, Greg, so you mentioned Wii Fit U.
Yeah, the Wii Fit U.
Doesn't fit me.
So you're still using the balance board that you bought a few years ago, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it seems like you can set the gamepad down, and using the ridge that's on the back of it, it leans up enough to sort of look at you and see if you're making the correct pose. Is this thing recognizing skeletal structure or no?
I doubt it, but you never know. More importantly, one thing that you didn't mention was that you could go out and buy your Wii Fit meter, and that will sync up with your Wii Fit U while you're on your Wii Fit balance board and tell you that you're fat. And you didn't do enough.
That's obese.
To burn the fat. Yeah, the whole section was just, I mean, very similar to the Nike stuff with Microsoft, except for this was missing Nike.
Yeah, yeah.
It's exercise stuff. There's certainly going to be an audience that wants to see it, that has bought the balance board. The good news is you still get to use it.
Yeah.
Bad news is it still has the weight restriction. So if you're that fat, get Kinect.
Sorry about your locker. All right, so sandwiched in the middle of all this stuff, I mean, we had Sing, which is the karaoke game that we mentioned earlier. I kind of don't even care. I don't even want to talk about it. I
Agreed.
Don't care.
Yeah.
The 3DS got no love at all. I mean, mainly because there's the separate, the separate sort of event mainly for 3DS games.
The love they got was, we'll let somebody come out on stage and tell you to wait another day before we'll tell you about it.
No, the love it got was crickets. Like, Scott Moffat comes out and he says, Reggie says, I'll give you a couple minutes to do your 3DS thing. And Scott Moffat says, a couple of minutes? Where's the love?
Yeah.
And there was nothing. Nothing.
No love in the building.
Oh, it was terrible. Terrible, Scott Moffat. Shame on you.
Yeah.
But anyway, they revealed new Super Mario Brothers 2 for the 3DS, which looks really cool. And my question here is, why so much new Super Mario Brothers right now? At the same time, unless they interact with each other. And if they interact, why didn't they say anything?
All right, so, I mean, Super Mario Brothers sells. So, I mean, I think Nintendo finally got it through their heads that they needed to get Super Mario Brothers onto all the systems they possibly can. They probably co-developed this. There's probably some kind of interactivity.
Yeah.
It was a title that should be launch titles for all of their consoles, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. I'm excited for Paper Mario Sticker Star. Looks great.
I had a feeling you'd be excited about
that. RPG with Mario. It's great. Can't wait. Peeling off stickers, that's your battle commands. It's awesome. Awesome.
I think that was possibly one of the highlights of their whole conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Luigi's Mansion 2, obviously. Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, which had gotten leaked prior to the conference, and it looks great, by the way. Epic Mickey Power of Illusion looks great. There's going to be a Scribblenauts Unlimited version. And Kingdom Hearts 3D, which is coming soon, so that's really like nothing. But then was a Wii U version of Lego City Undercover, and looks kind of neat, and a 3DS version promised.
I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say, surprise title. Didn't expect it. Very much like, it almost had like a GTA kind of vibe. So, would love to see more of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Looks great. All right, so let's run through these last few here. It was an Ubisoft montage, another damn montage.
Yeah.
Screw you, Just Dance 4.
Yeah, just Dance 4.
ZombiU looks great, I feel like it's sort of like a red herring. Like, I feel like there's going to be some kind of GIMP feature that GIMPs it.
Yeah, it comes with Reggie.
Yeah, and he's going to say, "Oh, I like French food."
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was.
I was betting he was just thinking of fries.
Yeah. So more Assassin's Creed 3. There's Rabbids Land, as in Raving Rabbids. Your Shape Fitness Evolve 2013. Big surprise there.
Yep.
Rayman Legends. Something called Sports Connection, which I guess would be a Sports Champions or a Wii Sports or something like that.
Yeah, it's a sports game.
Yeah.
It hasn't been terribly good before, so.
Well, yeah, okay. And Avengers Battle for Earth, which we know nothing about for Kinect and for Wii U.
Right.
And then Nintendo does this crazy thing and spends 20 minutes of the precious time that they act like they have none of talking about dun, 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 Nintendo Land. What the fuck?
All I could think when I saw this, and it was like the more the guy talked, the more confused I got.
Yeah.
About what this was. But my take, and I could be completely wrong, so don't hate me for thinking this way. It's just, this was my impression of what Nintendo Land is. It's what Sony did with Home is what Nintendo is doing with Nintendo Land. It is this hub world that's a carnival. It's got some mini games, throughout it. You can go in there and be social. It's Nintendo Home. They just called it Nintendo Land.
And those games, I think, will replace the pack-in of Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at the same time, I think the reason why you were confused is because, hey, the person with the gamepad will be the only one that can see the ghosts. Hey, you can only see the ghosts if you have the Wii U gamepad. Hey, in case you didn't get this, the person with the gamepad is the only one that's going to be able to see the ghosts. Over and over. He must have said it 10 times.
Right. And that was just explaining the one mini game from Luigi's Mansion, or
yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, which kind of made me think of Pac-Man.
Wow.
Yeah, it looked like a stylized Pac-Man, and I mean, I heard people saying, "Oh, that looks kind of fun." I'm like, that doesn't look fun at all.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
Don't forget, your batteries may run out, and your flashlight will dim.
God, my batteries were running out while I was listening to that crap. So that's it. Everything that they said could have been summed up in like 5 minutes with Nintendo Land, and they wasted a ton of time doing that. And the worst part of it is, Sony and Nintendo are both the culprits that told me last year that these handhelds were the most important son of a bitchin' thing, that I needed to have one, and both conferences this year, they're not important.
It was pretty shocking how both handhelds were treated like stepchilds.
Yeah.
More so, I think, with the Vita, because, I mean, even though Nintendo certainly gave the 3DS really no love in their main conference, at least they're giving them an hour kind of online press conference of their own. Whereas Sony just was like, the Vita? Well, yeah, we've got it. We've got a bundle.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But
there's going to be Call of Duty.
It's weird. Anyway. Just, okay, make sure, don't worry about dinner. Dinner's unimportant tomorrow. Just make sure you're at your computer to see e3.nintendo.com.
Yeah.
Just like, come on, really? All right, let's do some grades, and then let's get ready to get the hell out of here. So, what do you think, Dan?
Just because of the overall lack of information of the price point of the Wii U and the kind of stuff we've already seen on other consoles, I think they get a C- from me.
C-? Okay.
Maybe even a D+.
Maybe even a D+. I was going to say C- seems a little generous to me.
Yeah, D+.
Okay, Greg.
So for me, they get pretty much a D. Nintendo's sole goal out of E3 this year was to get the hardcore gamers, the early adopters, the people that are really going to buy this, interested.
Steve.
The Steves, the me's, the person that's potentially considering getting a PlayStation 3, like you, Dan, they needed to tell us, no, you know what? Save your money and buy the Nintendo Wii U, because it's gonna do the hardcore stuff. It's gonna play it, and it's going to do even more. And it's gonna be there's reason for you to come and get our console. And they did a horrible job of selling that to me. Yeah. I know nothing more than I did last year about Nintendo Wii U.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I think the general public still doesn't understand that this is not a gamepad controller add-on to the Wii U, or to the Wii, sorry. They think it's just an add-on.
Yeah. They're definitely in it. They've painted themselves into a branding corner.
I still don't know the price. I don't really know the tech specs of it yet, so I can't even as a hardcore gamer get too excited about what's inside the box.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even talk about this, but the Wii Pro controller, or the Wii U Pro controller.
Yeah.
What the F? They make this announcement the night before E3 that they're launching this new controller that looks just like an Xbox controller for the Wii U.
Yep.
And they said, well, you can play this for your more traditional titles. Well, then what the fuck are you putting out a Wii U pad for if I should be playing this for more traditional things.
I agree. I mean, it's the same thing as
thumbsticks?
the Circle Pad Pro is the admission of the design flaw of the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah.
They even said that they thought that the 360 controller was the best controller on the market.
Yeah.
Which was amazing that a competitor would say that about another competitor's product.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
So, yeah, solid D.
Well, for me, I am a D as well. And I know last year I was kind of harsh because I gave them an incomplete.
Mhm.
But I almost felt like watching all of these press conferences like I was watching the same thing as last year. Like, for me, who is a Nintendo file, there is no way that I should have watched this conference and been less excited for new hardware than I was before I went in.
Yeah.
Just shouldn't have happened.
Not at all. It's a big advert. That's what the whole thing is, isn't it? It's a giant advert that people are going to watch and want to go and see, and they failed.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So,
in fact, no, D, not a D plus.
so we're straight D's all around the table.
Yeah.
So, Greg, what do you think? What do you think the community said?
I think they're step and toe with us. I think they got probably a D, maybe a D minus even.
Dan?
Yeah, I'll go for that.
C minus.
No.
What the hell?
How about that? Huh? I don't know. Kind of.
Did you rig this?
No, I didn't. No, I did not. They got the same grade as Microsoft did. Crazy. Now, believe me, it's an average, and I rounded up. So,
yeah.
It definitely points to the fact that all three definitely came in lackluster this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, they all dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that show was there for one of them to take, and no one did. Well, Ubisoft did.
There you go.
I know. Boys, let's get out of here. Shout outs, Greg.
Shout out to the two of you. Thanks for having me on the show. Love coming and chatting with you guys, so it's always a fun time. And, of course, if you want to hear a little bit more of me, I don't know why you would, but if you do, we have a nice little podcast called The Overseas Connection. It's over with the G4TE.com community, so you can always come check out and listen to a bunch of old people talk about games.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I admire your dedication to do week by week by week. It's not going to happen over here. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Dan.
Yeah, good buddy Amorous, 89, got married.
Yes, he did.
Shout out to him and his missus.
Yes.
Congratulations, or I'm sorry.
Him and Pebbles. Yeah, him and Pebbles.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
Yeah, and HTC for upgrading my phone. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Got your phone back. So, for me, thank you, Greg. I'm glad we could come on and sort of do a little post-analysis of all this stuff, because God knows we've had multiple phone calls over the past few days.
Oh, yeah.
Going back and forth about all this crap.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Pretty much the way it went.
But, for me, I just want to shout out everyone who submitted their letter grades tonight. Thank you very much. We added them all up, tallied them, divided them by the number, and averaged them all out. So thank you very much. Also, that was Gate. That was Twitter, Google+. So thank you guys. And you know what? How about just a shout out to Gaming for the Elderly, period. What a great resource and a great community of people. VGHub.net. VGHub.net. You got to check it out. There's a ton of great personalities and great people that sort of inhabit the sphere that is VGHub.net. So, Greg, how about web for the week to come? Xbox Live, Skype, Twitter, anywhere,
Yeah, no. So, let's see. Twitter, you can follow me if you want. OC_MurphysLaw. And on old Xbox Live, Murphy's Law. And then on PSN, Murphy's Law 1969. On the brief occasion that I'm there.
I saw you logged in the other day. I did see that.
I updated.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah, I'm pretty much Hardlydan everywhere. You won't be able to talk to me on the 360 though, because my subscription's up and I'm not renewing it for the time being.
Sorry about your luck.
Other than that, yeah, Hardlydan. Put it in Google. I'm there. How about you?
I am the same. I am JSSLIFELIKE pretty much everywhere. That is Xbox Live, that's PSN, that's Steam, that's Skype, that's Twitter, that's Xfire, that's... God, yeah. I don't know. I burn out at that point every week when I go to talk about this stuff. So, all right, Dan, take us home.
Yeah, well, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes. We need them. We might even read it out if we get enough. Well, we will read it out.
Yeah, I didn't check this week with all the excitement. I apologize.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. You can also get hold of us on Facebook. Don't forget we're on Stitcher now. And a few months' time, we're entering the Extra Life Challenge. If you want to sponsor us, we would love to take your money. You can go to extra-life.org/team/VG Hub Team 2012, and you can sponsor one or all of us. The more the merrier. Those sick children really need your money.
They do, actually.
Yeah, they do. We want more voicemails as well. So if you're in the States, call the RPG hotline at 412-267-RPG1. And if you're outside the States or just have a crappy voice, you can email us at thegamesmanrpg@gmail.com. And our Twitter account is at thegamesmanrpg. You can also listen to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thegamesmanrpg.
Hey, there's been a bunch of content going up on the YouTube channel. We got like the first 15 minutes of Max Payne 3 to go along with Excalibur's review.
Yeah, that was cool. I watched that.
Yeah, Sorcery. I got my first 20 minutes of Sorcery up there. So we've been putting stuff up. We got some Rabid Gaming stuff set to go up, and man, we're going to try to keep flooding the YouTubes with content. So, all right, well, thank you very much, boys. On behalf of Mr. Murphy's Law, on behalf of Hardlydan, I am Lyfeliek. We are the Gamesmen, and until episode 77, we ask,
what role will you play?
Not fully satisfied with the podcast, please return any support to our full view.
So you can run and tell that, homeboy.